My next guest on the I Wish Virgin Media podcast is Allie O'Keefe. Allie is a technical sales representative in Dell that involves working with customers to help design their data centres. Allie has been in Dell for 6 years, but she started on their graduate programme. Allie studied genetics for her undergrad and a master's in information systems. Allie is currently the company lead in CWIT, Connecting Women in Tech for Dell. Allie, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Not at all. Allie, as a technical sales representative at Dell, you work at the intersection of technology and business. Can you walk us through what a typical day looks like for you and what excites you the most about your role?
Great. So I think what excites me most about the role is that every day really is different. So today we're here. There's an event in 2 weeks' time where we're in London for a few days, all getting together to collaborate on ideas. But I think the focus of my role is ensuring the customers that I'm assigned are kept happy, up to date with Dell, that we're solving problems for them. So they could come to me, concerned about something in the news, like cybersecurity wise, and I need to liaise with our engineers to make sure that this customer is kept as safe as can be. So it's really about customer interaction and making sure we're keeping them as happy as possible.
I love that. And I think sometimes when there is big things like that in the news, you just need reassurance, don't you? That's
Absolutely.
all they're looking for.
And we're dealing with such critical stuff, people's data centres, and if their business goes down, that's hundreds of thousands per minute for some customers. They really need to be sure that they can trust us and that we're at the end of the phone when they need us.
I love that. What first sparked your interest, Allie, in technology, and how did you find your way into a career in tech sales?
So I was interested in science and technology, and actually my parents always drove me to be very STEM focused, very maths orientated. So I was always kind of going to end up in that area, probably because of my parents' interest in it. And then
that's brilliant, by the way, because there's not many people like now to much younger kids. I think people are more aware to open their kids' eyes to STEM, but you don't hear it that often, actually.
Yeah, I think people joke about doing maths problems with your dad at the kitchen table, and that was a big part of it. Is they were there to help me and kind of focus me, and I have a lot of family that went into the same region. So it's my parents, but also my extended family are really interested in the space. So I was always interested in science and technology. And then in my final year in college, when you're 18 and making that big decision that you think will shape your entire life, I was lucky enough to have a really interesting biology teacher, Miss O'Callaghan in Christ the King. So she made every class so interesting.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah. It was really influential to have someone that was passionate about what they were teaching, and so she made that so interesting, and I particularly found the genetics aspect of that super interesting, of how things come together and why you're the way you are, and the research and the jumps that have been made in recent history around genetics is incredible. So I went down that route and then found that genetics is coding at the end of the day, just in a biology sense.
Yeah.
So I found that I really liked that part of it, but I think I wanted a more collaborative type working environment versus a lab.
Okay.
The subjects that I excelled in my genetics degree were collaborative group projects where we worked on the tech side of genetics.
Okay.
So I found a master's that allowed you to branch into the technical side of things, and I went into that and I really found my place there. So that was fantastic. I got to attend lots of events where people talked about their careers and where you should go. And actually, the technical sales job came up because people from Dell came into our college to speak about it.
Excellent.
And how good they found that career. So I reached out to them and I applied and was successful in that role and started on the graduate program. And I've gone back a few years since to do the same for other people. So brought them up through Dell, and it's a fantastic graduate program to join and really a fantastic company to work with.
It really was full circle for you. So, and it just shows how powerful it is, these visits to the schools and showing girls what their career could look like. And I'm doing this and you could do this too. And, oh, I love that. Many young women might feel intimidated by the idea of working in a tech-driven role. What advice would you give to those considering a career in technology?
Absolutely go for it. It's the best thing I ever did. And I think it's just so encouraging a space to work in. I was so shocked when I joined at how much time people will give you to help you and build you up, and they want you to be happy. I mean, we're measured on our employees' success rates and how happy they are. So people want you, really, really want you to succeed in the company, and whether that is in the role you're in, or potentially you want to go into marketing or HR. Once you get into a tech company, there's branches and routes, and you'll find the best place for you, and you'll get all the help that comes with that. So I would really recommend that anyone consider a career in tech.
Oh, I love that. You feel supported and encouraged, which is amazing.
So beyond supported. Even this morning I had to present, and I had all my senior leaders yesterday doing dry runs with me, making sure that I was as best covered as I could be. So it's such a lovely environment to be in, and everyone really does want you to succeed.
I love that. Collaborations is a big part of technical sales. How do you work with different teams, both technical and non-technical, to solve customer challenges? We heard a little bit about the technical side, I suppose.
Yeah, so it's really important to have non-technical members of the team, and to have people to say, you've gone too into the nitty gritty, so you don't know who you're presenting to on some customer calls. It could be the chief financial officer, it could be someone in marketing, and the tech has to relate to them, and you have to be able to make it real. So having those non-technical team members come and say, maybe break that down into a more tangible outcome, don't talk about speeds and feeds, make it relevant to the CFO to speak about money and return on investment. So it's really important to have those people that step back and say, what does that actually mean for the customer? What's the outcome? And I think, had you told me in college how much I would love collaboration, I probably I'd be surprised at how much I do love getting in a room with people and, collaborating and figuring out what best way to move forward.
Oh, I love that. And I love when we surprise ourselves like that. Listen, thank you so much, Allie, for taking the time to chat with me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
My next guest on the I Wish Virgin Media podcast is Alison Shanahan. Alison is a validation engineer with Merck. Originally from Kerry, Alison currently works as a validation engineer. Her role involves day-to-day validations for the membrane department with various teams to ensure processes, equipment and materials are properly validated. Alison also serves as the community group lead for the site, collaborating with schools to bring STEM activities to children and inspire the next generation to pursue a career in STEM. Alison, you're so very welcome onto the podcast today. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me.
Thanks very much for having me, Amy. Delighted to be here.
Not at all. Alison, can you share with our listeners your journey to becoming a validation engineer at Merck?
Yeah, of course. So I suppose I always enjoyed science. Throughout school and college, I actually studied chemistry in college in UCC, and what I liked most about it was how applicable it was to real world life and how it can be used to make life-saving equipment, medical devices and drugs. So I always knew I wanted to pursue that in my career.
Okay.
So I started in Merck in 2020, and in my first role I worked as a quality technician. So I was responsible for inspecting raw materials to make sure they were safe for use and conducting batch review of our end products, again just to make sure they were of high quality and safe for our customers. In 2022 then a role in validation came up, and I always wanted to kind of move into that kind of role. I like using my problem solving skills, and I like working with different teams. So when the opportunity came up to work in validation, I just jumped at the opportunity, and I'm there. This is my third year now, and I love it. I really like it. Yeah.
And Alison, what does a typical day as a validation engineer look like?
So day to day can kind of vary. So basically the way I describe validation is like working on a lot of small projects. So I'd be responsible for NPIs. So NPIs are new product introductions. So anytime a new product is coming into the membrane department, we run tests and checks to make sure our processes, equipment, that they're all installed and operate and perform to a high standard, so that the product we're producing is safe for our customers. Because at the end of the day, the customer is the goal. We want to make sure everything we do is safe for them. As well as that, then if there was any changes to existing products or existing processes, we again run a series of checks and inspections to make sure the changes don't negatively impact the end product. So there's a lot of work with different teams. So I work with production, process and development, engineering and quality. And as a team then we just review all the changes that have been made to make sure, again, it's all safe for the customer. And like there's lots of opportunities for continuous improvement and collaboration in the role. So like I say, it's kind of like working on a lot of small little projects but with the same goal at the end of the day.
Oh, I love that. And as one of the main leaders of the CSR, Corporate Social Responsibility and STEM activities at Merck, what drives your passion for STEM?
Yeah, so I suppose, as you said, CSR, it's our corporate social responsibility, and every company has the responsibility to ensure that we're giving back to our communities and, you know, we're making a difference to the next generation. So at Merck we do a lot of STEM initiatives where we go out to different schools, both primary and secondary, and we do experiments with the kids just to kind of get them interested in science at a young age. And for me, like, I think it's so important to target the younger age group because that's where your interests kind of develop, and especially with girls, like, you know, there's so much out there nowadays between skincare and, like, you know,
yes,
TikTok and all like that. Trying to capture their interest in STEM at that age is so important, and like when they have that interest they're more likely to pursue that down the line, and it definitely brings a different perspective to companies when you have, you know, the passion at a young age. You can really see it in like colleagues now, you can tell that they grew up loving science.
Oh, it's exciting.
So, yeah, I know, it's lovely.
Yeah.
Right, and like we do so much, like we go to different schools every year and just you can see the little spark of interest in them at the young age, and it's just really like inspiring for me as well, and like just having the sense of like fulfillment, giving back to them
and making a difference.
Exactly.
I love
like that's what we're all about.
From your perspective, Alison, as a validation engineer, what are some of the most exciting advancements or trends in STEM that you think will inspire the next generation?
I think with anything like, you know, AI and machine learning is the way the world is going. You know, definitely we utilise a bit in Merck to help us analyse our data and provide us with a bit more information that drives our decision making. So I think there's a whole range of new possibilities with all these, you know, new initiatives.
Women in STEM often face unique challenges. What advice would you give to young women who are aspiring for careers or aspiring for a career in STEM but feel a little uncertain about whether it's for them?
Yeah, I suppose like in a lot of ways companies have come a long way in like trying to break down those barriers. You know, there's a lot of initiatives in workplaces, like even in my own workplace in Merck, like there's a great sense of work-life balance. So I do think it's like encouraging more girls to like go into STEM because it doesn't, you can have both. Like it doesn't just have to be one or the other. Like you can have both aspects. So I think there is improvements there, but there's definitely a bit to go. Like I think sometimes it can be hard to have your voice heard, you know, especially I've been in situations as well in a meeting full of men and like, you know, nicest men in the world, but trying to get my voice heard. But I've learned, and this is just through mentorships with work and everything, just to be a bit more confident in my own abilities and like, you know, push to have my voice heard. But like using other aspects like networking, attending workshops and even CSR events is a great way to build those connections and kind of be more confident in yourself. And for me as well, as I said, like I've been very fortunate to work with loads of like female managers and colleagues, and they've definitely provided me with that mentorship and that coaching that I needed to get to where I am in my career.
It's so important, and that's what today is all about, I think, just to show those young girls that there is some exciting, rewarding jobs in STEM out there, and they can do it if that's what they want to do.
Absolutely, and finding someone that you look up to, like just someone that you can talk to and like who can guide you along your way, it's so important. Like, you know, and there's always people out there. You just have to make the effort to reach out and like, you know, take that step. And
don't underestimate what a 5-minute chat can do. Absolutely. Or change someone's trajectory or just make a big difference to them and their career and their path. So
it does, it definitely does.
I love that. Thank you so much, Alison.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you for taking the time to chat with me today. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thanks a mil.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My next guest on the I Wish Virgin Media podcast is Dagmara Nowak. Dagmara is an experienced ICT professional with over 18 years of expertise in the telecommunications industry. She has dedicated most of her career to one of Ireland's leading service providers, Virgin Media. where she has played pivotal roles across technical and commercial domains. A trailblazer in her field, she takes pride in being one of Ireland's few female field network engineers, and possibly, at one point of her career, the only one. Outside of work, Dagmara is a proud mother of 2 daughters and a passionate advocate for women in STEM. Dagmara, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me this morning. It's a pleasure to meet you.
You too, Amy. Thank you for having me here today.
Not at all. Your career path is so inspiring. What first sparked your interest in technology and communications, and was it something that you had dreamed about as a teenager?
Well, I suppose it kind of is in my DNA. Both my parents were science teachers. They both have masters in physics. So I suppose STEM was always around me when I was growing up. My mum used to bring science experiments back home, and I had a pleasure to play around with them. My dad was a DIY enthusiast and always fixing something at home. So soldering and fixing home appliances. There's a smell of soldering iron brings memories back as well. So I suppose having that hands-off exposure made technology feel familiar and exciting at the same time. And I always found maths and science easy to grasp.
Okay.
So I suppose I always knew that's something I wanted to pursue, and I worked hard to get where I am.
Yes, I have no doubt. Well done. Your journey to working with Virgin Media is impressive. What is one unexpected challenge or lesson you have encountered along the way?
I suppose the first lesson learned is that the ICT industry, it never gets boring, and the biggest advantage of it is it's exciting and it's ever changing. But the biggest lesson I've learned over the years is not to underestimate power of mentorship. And I've been always very fortunate that I had amazing mentors at every stage of my career. Some were sharing tough love and shaped me into the professional I have, but they always encouraged me and guided me through every step, starting at the very early days of school throughout the career. And I still have great mentors up until today. So I suppose that's the biggest lesson I've learned, and that's a lesson for every single woman in STEM, not to underestimate.
Yeah, it's a common
mentors.
theme of anyone I'm chatting to today is the absolute importance of mentors in our lives, and there's the incredibly huge difference they can make to someone's journey or someone's path.
Absolutely. And like the lack of confidence keeps coming up as well from the previous talks on the main stage. The mentors actually can help you overcome that hugely. So that's one of the biggest benefits.
And give you that self-confidence that you need to kind of choose something, you know. Telecommunications and media are all about connection. How do you think the work you do impacts people's everyday lives in ways you might not even realise?
Well, connectivity is the backbone of everything we do today. From businesses staying competitive and operating efficiently, to students having easy access to online resources at reliable speeds. High-speed internet is no longer a luxury. It's no longer something we wish for. It's necessity. And people not always take connectivity for granted. So behind the scenes, we ensure that businesses, schools, households never have to worry about that element. Our job in Virgin Media is to ensure that we create solutions that seamlessly support their needs, and allowing them focus on the growth, on achieving their goals, on living their daily lives without interruptions. And what excites me most in the telecommunication is how it enables innovation as well.
Okay.
And whether it's empowering remote working, that's something that we've seen throughout the COVID times. That was the biggest boost for that, advancing to cloud technologies, driving digital transformation in the companies. it's not about the internet. It's about empowering people to do more, faster and better.
Working in STEM, how do you stay curious and keep learning in such an innovative and rapidly changing industry?
Oh, well, yeah, it is very rapid changing industry, and that's the beauty of it. It always evolves. And like, even if you look at the evolution from the analog to fully digital and now AI-powered technologies, it's actually amazing. But learning, it's not an option in STEM, it's a necessity. But you always learn as part of your job, as part of your work, and it's a natural progress. I think the trick is to find your guilty pleasures and find something that excites you and you find it easy to learn. But it's not about structured courses or paid courses. There's so many resources available online to us. It's about staying curious, about reading up, it's about networking, it's about building your connections, finding mentors or finding subject matter experts who can share the knowledge with you, and they always are very keen to share their knowledge, and those individuals can be a fantastic source of information.
Yeah, and I think you said something there about staying curious. It's so important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And like that, it's not, the STEM industry is not going to slow down.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep up, you have to invest something, and you have to motivate yourself. Be bold, be curious, be adventurous.
I love that. Be bold, be curious, be adventurous. I love that. Thank you so much, Dagmara, for sitting down and chatting with me. It's been an absolute
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.